Hello everyone, this is Hava from Hava Wellness, and today we are back on our episode with the mother of probiotics. We're going to speak about eczema. On a daily basis I get so many phone calls and so many text messages regarding skin problems, and eczema is one of those. So I thought that maybe we should cover about this topic. And please share this video with your loved ones because it might help someone. You never know, but there's so many poor children, and not just only children, babies and adults are suffering from skin issues. So let's get to the root cause of the skin problem, and I will bring mother of probiotics so that way she will bring her thoughts, her knowledge into this topic, and both we are hopefully will be able to help you. It's so hard to see people suffering so much, especially at night, and itchiness and flaky skin. This is so sad to see all this. Okay, so let me get the mother of probiotics and we'll jump into our topic about eczema. One second. And I love when you bring questions. Questions is important because we truly, oh, here you are. Oh, so amazing. I just got your text message and you are already here with us. Amazing. You look
Yep. I was wondering what happened to you. I said she absconded with somebody.
Oh no, I actually was trying to put a title so that way more people will join us, and yeah, and I was like, each time I put the title, it disappeared. I put the title, just like, oh my gosh, what's happening here? But that's okay, it's all good as long we are here. And I said today's topic is about eczema. I think it's very important that we should cover about skin issues. There's so many children, babies, adults suffering from skin issues, and many people don't understand why. And so I was thinking we should cover this topic. We should really help people to understand the root cause of the skin issues, specifically eczema. So you want to jump in?
Yeah. So I want to remind everybody that every cause of every disease known to human beings, it starts in the GI tract and starts with a combination of those bacteria that we either have or don't have. And I always promise the Hava, I keep it simple so that everybody can understand. And the reason we're having so many problems with things like eczema, psoriasis, and multiple skin issues is because when the body cannot expel the toxins via the feces or urine, it uses the skin to expel the toxins, and then we give it a name depending on how it looks on the skin or where it goes in the skin. And this is the problem because usually what orthodox medical doctors do is they give you an ointment that suppresses the immune response, and the immune response is trying to tell you we have a problem. And the reason we have an explosion of skin problems in this country is because A, hardly any children in North America are getting the essential bifidobacteria infantis through the birth canal, and even if they're breastfed. This is something that's not new. Second of all, it's a complete breakdown of what we call the bacteria that evolved with us as Homo sapiens and wants to live in our GI tract. And three, the amount of products that just throw in any bacteria that have not evolved with us, and basically to take care of the condition, but not really get to the root cause. And that can lead to other problems. So what we need to teach the mothers is that A, we need to introduce the bifidobacteria infantis if it's in children, the Superdophilus, which is the Lactobacillus acidophilus, to adults. And then finally, our Trenev trio, which has been used in clinical trials especially for acne. It's been used in patient case history studies for psoriasis and many other skin conditions. So it is a safe, effective way where you will not have any side effects. That's what we want. We want to give the tools to the body with the right bacteria that's evolved with human beings to reintroduce that which we've somehow created a hostile environment in the GI tract for these bacteria to want to stay with us. So when we are exposed to the toxins in the air, in the water, in the food, the body can't handle it. It's as simple as that. And the first place it's going to get rid of it, if it can't get rid of it through the feces or the urine, is the skin. And again, we just give names to these skin conditions, but they all have a connection to one or more places in the GI tract.
Exactly. And then in a simplified manner, everyone, I hopefully people understand that the skin is actually the last resort. And
Yes.
there is always some sort of symptoms prior. And unfortunately, if you see the young child that already suffering from any sort of a skin issue, that's already telling you that already there is issue in his digestive tract. That means if it's, let's say, a newborn, and then something happened in a month or two, and the baby already has suffering, that's already a red light that tells you, listen, there's something wrong with digestive system. You might say, yes, but I'm only nursing. That means that what you passing something to the child, or it's something being introduced to this baby, something, I'm not going to say what, but you should think and use your mind, that caused this some sort of a reaction, a distraction in the gut flora. And that's why many people they don't understand, and once they go to the doctor will give you a cream, but the cream will just, I usually like to say, it's like a blanket, and then under the blanket there is a sheet, and on the sheet there is a dirty diaper. So let's say, and instead changing and removing the diaper and cleaning the whole entire, you're just covering up with a blanket, and then you're covering with another blanket. That's in the same way. This is the same analogy. This is how it works. So when you see something on the skin, you should know, oh, the body is already tried all different ways to get rid of these toxins. But because the body is either so compromised, or this is the fastest way to remove these toxins, you see it through the skin. So when you apply something on the surface, and that includes as well as herbal remedies. I also want to say that, because many times people think, okay, I got the chickweed cream, I'm going to apply it, or I got your Hava wellness tissue and bone salve. And I usually say it's not a smart idea, because what you do, you're covering, you're blocking, you go against the nature. The nature tells you, remove this toxin out of the skin. We're trying to pull the garbage out, but when you apply the cream, either comes with a base of wax, it's like you're covering with a plastic. So you're going against what the body's asking. And what Natasha here is proposing is an absolute incredible thing. And what I would add on top of it, you use a bath as a simplified method to remove toxins as well. So me and Natasha work so synergetically, beautifully together in combination, where you use herbs in a bath. What do? You open the pores so the toxicity can come out, and then you also go through inside, through working through digestive tract, restoring the microbiome, sending important bacteria. So now you can fix the damaged organ, and the body now can restore. And that's what people do not understand. And I want to go over it again.
Yeah.
So everyone will understand.
Right.
Here, and I see children with a flaky skin, and they're suffering at night or through the day with eczema or any other skin issues. Number one, you work internally. Rubbing creams will not solve an issue. So now I'm actually suggesting something. Whenever you see all these beautiful TikTok quick videos where a mother share you, oh, I applied this cream and in a few days it's gone. That's not possible. This problem is buried more underneath, so you never work on the real root cause. You just covering side effects. Okay.
Yeah. And, the other danger is, Hava, is that there's really no regulation. Nobody really understands probiotics or the microbiome, and they just look at data that's published. And all I can say is the published data shows you that a problem has been taken care of. But whether or not those microbes are actually there to help the body in general, or they're just going to interfere with other functions, is what people don't understand. You cannot use bacteria like you do drugs. Bacteria should never be used to just fix a symptom because they will do other things besides just help to fix the symptom. And they may harm other organisms that your body needs in other locations in the GI tract to keep you healthy. So you cannot play around with these very smart entities we call bacteria. They're really like single brain cells. They're a brain and they're very intelligent. And this is what worries me is that, even doctors or people in the pharma industry don't really understand this. They just look at the data, but they don't understand what else these bacteria can do once inside the body. And the whole purpose of our education is to restore the complete health to the body, not just take care of a symptom, but restore the complete function of the body, that we're taking care of digestion, because digestion will affect 70 to 80% of the immune cells on the 27 feet of intestinal wall. And if you don't understand this, then you got to have somebody like me who spent 60 years in this field to explain it to you, because it's easier to cover things up, like you said, Hava. But we got to get to the source. We've been doing this for decades. We've been covering the problem and looking for an easy fix. And we have to learn how to fix the body without covering up the problem. This is the biggest thing we have.
And it's very also important to be very honest. When we come into healing, you need to understand when we try to treat something, I really ask everyone, be honest. Because in reality, you know, it's just funny, people trying to justify. They will tell, yes, but I'm giving my child a healthy diet, or someone will justify something else. But in reality, I always say, listen, if you're doing things in the correct way, you're not going to have any side effects and you're going to truly see the healing. But you also need to be patient. Okay, but that's a next topic. But what I'm trying to say is that honest outlook are so important, because on a daily basis, I get the phone calls from mothers, or let's say one case that I just had recently, someone who about 2 years ago had a severe skin issue, severe. It's like was scratching all over. And I did put her on probiotics. I restored, and we're trying to work on restoring microbiome, obviously on a clean diet, obviously using a bath as a path to remove toxins through the skin, providing some herbs to treat malfunction areas as well, and other organs. And guess what? In a couple months, she was completely fine. And down the road, probably she forgot everything she did, because now she feels incredible and she feels good. But guess what? There's also a healing crisis. And usually what it does, the same issue will resurface again if you went back to the same bad habits. So that person contacted me again after, I think almost 2 years. And she's like, oh, my itchiness came back. And I said, okay, are you doing the same things that I suggested you? She said, no, I forgot everything. I said, okay, so then go back and start working on the root cause again, because what you've done, you saw quick result, you left everything in the middle, you didn't went and fix it till the end, and now you went back to the same behavior, the same food that caused the problem in the first place, and now you have recurrence of the issue. And the people get upset because they tell me, yes, but, and I'm like, In the reality, there is no but. You want to heal, that's the way you need to do it. There is no easy cuts. And that sometimes people think that it's easy, fast, quickly, in 5 days, show me results. Or I have other people who contact me with eczema issues on the children. And I usually, the question is, what is the children are eating? What is their diet? And if they're honest, and thank God that these people, some of them are honest, will write you pizza, donut, the chips, potato chips. I'm like, okay, so from one side you want to heal, but from the other hand, you're providing this garbage food. Then how are we going to restore the child's microbiome, or how we're going to clean when you reintroduce the same garbage food all over again? So who to blame here, you know? So the idea is just be honest, don't be in fear, and understand it takes time and process. But honestly is the one of the most important thing. Be honest, and I would say, and carry consequences. That's good. And I say,
Yeah.
and it's okay to carry consequences, because this is how we learn. We're humans. We learn from our mistakes. So as long as we don't cause more damage, and the beauty things that we don't, our herbs are never, and our probiotic will never harm. And the beauty of Natasha's products, that they will never harm, just to restore. And what many people don't understand, you're playing with different strains. We have a people who write telling you, oh, we brought this special probiotic from Ukraine, when they end up doing this somewhere here in Mexico. Or they have other, like, people don't understand. There's not many honest people in this world.
Well, the problem is that we still have 80% of the American population chronically ill, and we have 60% of the children chronically ill. So if we keep doing the same thing, how do we expect different results? If we keep listening to the same people, and I tell mothers, if you're giving your child anything in a gummy, you're not doing your job. Anything in a gummy is filled with sugar and probably will reduce the efficacy of the product up to 90%, whatever it is, mineral, vitamins, and especially probiotics. You should never be giving any probiotic product to the child in a gummy. This is something that I cannot understand, how people have become so far detached from the one knowing what's good for the body. At least, you know, in the 70s, people were very aware of what's in the diet because not so many processed foods are available like now. And there used to be how shall I say, an understanding in our industry that a product should not have more than 5 ingredients. And if you can't understand the name of the product and the ingredient, then you are in trouble. You have a problem. I see somebody asking me with no sugar. Remember, gummies are a gel. The process is not clean. So if you're giving a vitamin, how do you expect this vitamin to be absorbed in your body if it's covered by a gum? That's why they're called gummies. Just think about that. It's not just the sugar.
If she is making herself, if she's gonna make it herself, the vitamin gummies with no,
No, no, because
maybe
because
probiotics, she cannot do it, but she can do herbal remedies. Yes, she
yeah,
can.
no, but I'm just saying gummies are gelatin. Gelatin is digested by the stomach. And I don't want to go into a whole technical explanation why this is not good. Agar, yes. I know it's a gum. What I'm saying to you, you try to get the vitamins in a liquid form. I like vitamins in the liquid form. Probiotics are not good in the liquid form because they will die very quickly. And anybody that tries to sell you probiotics in a liquid form doesn't know what they're doing. So no, you have to stop giving the stuff that has gelatin. Gelatin has its own, or gum. Gum and gelatin have their own, how shall I say, act to play in our GI tract. But they should not be enclosing vitamins or anything else because we don't know what effect they have on those vitamins that the body is trying to absorb. This is what people don't understand, that the colonization of the small intestine is extremely important because if those vitamins hit the intestinal wall and the intestinal wall and the bacteria on the intestinal wall don't know how to deal with that substance, it's never going to get absorbed. This is what people don't understand. It doesn't matter what gum it is. I'm just telling you from 60 years of experience. I don't think gum cover of anything that's the child is trying to absorb is good. And that, that's based on my 60 years of being in this industry. And this is what it is. I tell people, take the product in the powder. Oh, no, I can't take swallow powders. I said, well, listen, I don't make the rules. I can give you the capsule of the powdered products, but the powders are much better. Why? They start working in your mouth. They go down your esophagus. They have fermentation end products. I'm trying to tell you what is best for you. You need to decide what's best for you. And stuff, because so far we've been listening to all these authorities and we haven't gotten anywhere. I'll just give you one example. If you remember in the 80s, those of you who weren't around in the 80s, it was a big move to remove fat from the diet. The worst thing that ever happened to America, where they were telling people to eat grains and to drop all fat. And we had a huge explosion of disease and problems because of that. Now they finally go back and tell you, yes, it's good fats, not the bad fats. And, just what I tell people, look at the cultures that are healthy. Look at the cultures that you are genetically close to. Don't go to some genetic structure that you're not close to. But anybody with a European background or most parts of the world needs good fats and needs to restore the normal, healthy bacteria in their gut, not something that by somebody that has a marketing plan and wants to give a bacteria to give you a result without understanding what it does to the whole ecosystem in your GI tract. It can't be done. And we all have to get serious.
Okay. I'm so okay. So my let me ask. So the question, what I will go back to her question because I'm interested is if you make yourself vitamin gummies. So what exactly the vitamin means? So which kind vitamins? I would say also ask questions. Let's say if it's we're talking about probiotics, that obviously you cannot. But if you're, let's say, speaking, okay, so food, full fat, instead. Okay, so wait. So let me just cover about this from my opinion. Um, so about the if you prepare herbal, let's say concoction, let's say you prepare herbal tea and then you mix it in agar with some honey, that's okay. So because the herbs are work a little bit different than live bacteria. So that's what I would say. If you want to give, let's say, nettle tea, which provides so many nutrients and minerals, you can prepare the decoction of the tea, you can make the tea, and then from the tea, you can mix it with, let's say, with some preservative like agar or gel or whatever, and make it as a candies, and then the child will receive those minerals. But I would strongly suggest what Natasha is saying. It's first of all restoring the microbiome, so that when the child receives this proper minerals, it will be absorbed in the correct way. It makes sense, Natasha?
Yes, yes. And the
Okay.
woman keeps asking me, and I'm sorry to say this, I don't know about elderberry. Somebody who makes elderberry, we have to figure out where the elderberries are absorbed. And she's asking me about full fat foods. I can just tell you, I go back to Adele Davis. And in the early days, in the late 60s, early 70s, we were not recommending low fat foods. We were saying eat whole milk, eat, whole cottage cheese. In fact, the diets in Hollywood then would include a scoop of whole fat cottage cheese with a cantaloupe. That was like the lunch for that era if you wanted to lose weight. It was never low fat cottage cheese. So this low fat thing started wrongly. And what happened is that's why I believe is one of the reasons, not the only reason, but one of the reasons we have so much dementia and mental problems, because the only food that your body, that your brain can utilize is cholesterol. And if you don't have enough cholesterol, your brain can't function. So that's another episode that we should do. So I'm just trying to give her just some quick remedies that the more you do to cover the active ingredient, the harder it is for the body to absorb. And especially if you have the wrong balance of the proper microbes, either in your small intestine or large intestine, the absorption is going to be hampered. And I always tell people, I don't make the rules. It's
Right.
very easy for me to make products and sell you stuff to make money, but then that's not the right thing to do. And our industry needs to go back to people who are experts in their field and don't try to sell you 50 to 200 different products, supplements, or foods that they're not expert in.
Yes. And okay, so I see, yes. So never eat anything that's not full fat. Yes, do not eat anything that is not full fat, because in reality, milk 2% is diluted milk, which is absolutely horrible. And I actually don't call it even milk. It's called watered milk. It's like a water instead of milk. And then all the cottages and all the stuff, when they actually remove the full fat, then actually they need to add something into it. And then when they add all these preservatives to make it like a delicious, otherwise it's not gonna taste well, right?
Well,
Once
but since I come from the dairy industry, and I'll answer her cholesterol content, when you make low-fat foods, you have to separate all the fat from the milk when you receive it, and then you have to add back the cream. So that's already a process that's not necessary. Instead of taking the milk from the cow the way it comes, organic, and in drinking it, that's what the important. So she asked about cholesterol content. Cholesterol is only bad if you have inflammation in your veins and arteries. If you have inflammation, that's what causes the problem. The cholesterol itself is not a problem. This goes back to 1980 studies that were done in Scandinavia, and that's perhaps another topic we can discuss in greater details at a later date, because I know when I get too technical, I lose people. But cholesterol, in all the research that I have seen, is not a bad thing as long as you don't have inflammation in the veins
exactly.
and arteries, of course, veins and arteries.
Right. So that, and I would add into it, cholesterol was never an issue. It's become an issue when they've seen it, that many people don't actually get sick enough. So they created the numbers, the blood test, all this is ridiculous. I'm sorry to, I like to really break the whole entire rules of allopathic medicine. That's what's calling a natural healing. Its look is absolutely different. I do not call disease names. I just go from what body is asking from you. So whenever people look into cholesterol or counting the calories or calling different diseases by the names, by the end, it's all ridiculous. It's all nonsense. It's all just a way to create fear, to create more problems. And if we're looking for problems, we're going to find the problems. But in reality, we shouldn't. And the body speaks with you on a daily basis. And whatever, so instead really following all this noise outside and getting into the fear, you just look at your body as an absolutely incredible machine who actually will guide you and will tell you what needs to be done. And when it comes to food, you need to choose a wholesome food. Like today, whole day, I have a conversation with someone on my chat, on my membership group, and she's like all the time about, oh, but I'm using this salt, but now someone mentioned that I should use iodinized salt. So I'm like, no, love, you use a wholesome state salt, because the wholesome state, it's a God-given salt, contains everything you need in the way you need, and when the body is taking, the body absorbing in the correct way. But when you take a salt that's been stripped from all the nutrients, from all the minerals, similar to the milk, and then they say, oh, you know what, we stripped too many minerals, let's start adding a little bit more synthetic minerals. Same comes to the flour. The regular freshly ground flour is absolutely incredible wholesome food. Show me one person who will have an issue if you get organic grains and you ground them and make a flour and you make a delicious bread. No one will have an issue. But if you take the flour, let it seed the grains for years and years in somewhere in some sort of an area, in the sacks, when they get mold, then you grind them, then you strip all the nutrients and the bran and all the good stuff, And then you say, oh, we have to add bleach, so we want to keep it for longer. Then you add bleach. And then you say, okay, now let's add few
Yeah.
more synthetic. Then you have this kind of flour. Trust me, you're going to have itchy in every part in your body, because the body tells you,
Yeah.
what the hell is that? I don't want this. So this is so simple. Please listen, my lovely people. This is in simplified method. This is incredible. Go back to basics.
Yeah. This lady is asking about saturated fat, and this is what's really troubling to me. The saturated fat was been banned for decades, and now they're telling you not to use the seed oils, what everybody was told for decades to use, and they're telling you to eat butter, to eat animal fat, and it's completely crazy. I say, look at your genetic background. What saturated fat was included in that genetic background, and eat that in moderation. That's it. And you have to become armed with information, because right now there's very conflicting information, and every decade somebody comes out. And I say again that the people who were healthy didn't modify the food the way it appeared in nature. And when you talk about the wheat, let me tell you what happened to the American wheat, and why people with gluten sensitivity can have pasta in Italy and France, but they can't touch anything here, bread or anything with wheat. Because first in the 1950s, they hybridized the wheat, meaning they changed it. And then they filled it up with a pesticide called glyphosate. And that made the body's immune system react to that glyphosate. And in reaction to that glyphosate, everything that had a weak substance to it became an allergic factor to the body. So wheat is a staple in most Eastern European diets. I mean, it's a staple like rice. Without bread, most of those Eastern European societies would not survive. Both my grandmothers, what did they have for supper? Bread and yogurt. That was their supper. And I said, the only reason they got sick is because of the wars, not because of the diet.
True. And I also love the story when you mentioned when they first start using glyphosate on animals to make them more fat and to
Mhm.
retain liquid, so they can actually sell them for much more higher price. And then when start adding this into our diet, guess what happens? People start retaining more liquid. They become more fat. This isn't so easy just to see it through. And I'm hopefully everyone who's joining us and asking beautiful questions will understand the root cause and will continue to pass this knowledge to other people. This is very crucial. We just, as two mothers, we speak this to give you the guidance without the noise. Just really simplified
Yeah.
matter. Sometimes I hear people tell me, well, so what should I feed my child? Because now, so I'm just saying, give a regular, wholesome food. Prepare a delicious semolina with butter and honey. And people like, what do you mean? What do you mean this? Like, go back to what we ate. We always had the hot cereal. We always had, like before all the cold cereals, we always had the hot cereal. There was a meaning to it. You cook the wheat for a certain period of time, you make it more accessible, more digestible. And then butter is incredible. Like I always eat piece of bread with the delicious butter. I just love cultured delicious butter with some honey. Here we go. This is an amazing meal. Or just
Um,
a little bit bread into the delicious soup, and that's it. It's a meal. But we are so receiving so much information and became so complicated that we already lost our way. And yeah.
yeah, I know. And I understand these poor mothers, because for decades we've been told, don't touch anything with fat. And what we were feeding is grains to children that were not only adulterated, but filled with sugar. And then how do we expect to have healthy children? We can't, because then the immune system becomes compromised, because the sugar feeds the bad bacteria. And if you look at the number of people who have diabetes, that points to fungal overgrowth, which nobody discusses. That type 2 diabetes is usually a fungal overgrowth. And that's why it's causing the blood sugar to stay high, because the fungus is telling the body that it needs the sugar in order for it to be fed. So that's another topic all in itself. So what I'm trying to say is that let's go back to eczema. The body does talk to us. We've been dumbed down not to understand what the body's saying. And I've seen that one child with the woman with the 2 million views, with the
Yeah,
poor child with the eczema. And I tell him to her, listen, try our superdophilus. Give a half a teaspoon a couple of times a day to that child. I know it's difficult to give a capsule. You're going to, and then, follow it with our Life Start. In a week or two, you're going to see tremendous change because these bacteria are going to help the body expel the toxins through either the feces or the urine. Or even when you perspire, when your perspiration smells bad, that's a way for the body to throw out toxins. When you have mucus in the nose or you have problems in your ears, it's all a way of the body talking to us, hey, I am trying to detoxify here. Help me get rid of this junk. I need your help to get rid of it. And we have lost that communication with the body because what we've been trained for the last 50 years, in my humble opinion, is to take care of the symptom and usually tell the body to shut up and stop sending the message. That's what we're doing in actuality. We're not really fixing the problem. We're just telling the body to shut up and not send a message.
exactly, exactly. And I do.
Uh,
She wrote, we don't know better because we don't have this knowledge, leaving us all confused. Well, you have here we are. That's why we're meeting twice a month. Now we're gonna meet every Monday, and we'll bring these topics so that way you don't get confused. And trust me, I've been in this business for such a long time. Not like Natasha. She's the mother. She's my mother. But in reality, we're bringing this knowledge without and cutting all the noise. And what you hear on other places, I'm sure there's a lot of people who have a good means who want to provide, but you need to understand not everyone really can handle that much information and see through the information. I've been in this business for so many years that I combine a basic structure why we get sick in a very simplified manner so that every person can understand. And that's why Natasha is working with me, because she saw that how in simplified manner we can heal. And because without, it's so easy to complicate a very simplified matter. But
yes.
the idea is not to complicate, but simplify, bring it so everyone can understand. And today you understand that there is something on the skin. When you see the child is scratching on the skin, what is you need to think in your mind? The first light should in your head. What should be? Oh, internally there is a problem internally. My child is not the skin. The skin is just the side effect right away in your mind. My child is not pooping. My child is not removing toxin, which means not peeing probably correctly, not sweating enough. My child is eating food, which is not correct. The body is gathers the toxins, and that means you have a lack of essential bacteria to fight all these toxins. When you start providing a proper bacteria, you're providing an army of a good guys who are going to go down there and start fighting the bad guys. So now you're working, restoring the important part of microbiome. Next thing you do, you're opening the pores, you clean the skin so that the skin tells you to remove me, remove. So you put the child in a bath and you help to respirate, to remove the toxins out of the skin. You're restoring. And by the end, when you're restoring the body and give time, Natasha always says six months to restore microbiome, right? I always say that.
Yeah. After any antibiotic course, it takes about 6 months to restore the microbiome. And right now, I think every child, the minute it's born, I think this is an old data that I have. In the first year, I think in the pediatric journals, it was recorded that each child receives at least 3 courses of antibiotics. And that means the complete destruction of your immune system communication with the microbes on your intestinal wall. every mother, and this is what you and I are doing, Hava. We're two mothers, and we're trying to teach the mothers, listen, whatever we've been doing so far is no good because our population is sick and we're not getting them better. And in Europe, they're still eating fresh foods, and people they've been taught from one generation to the other. I remember in my household, my mom was very strict. We never had any prepared foods. It was just not allowed in the house, including especially any kind of chips. You just don't need that. And it's very difficult. It's very addictive to the child. And I remember that I had to make all of the baby food for my child. That was 40 years ago. Even then, I didn't trust the makers of baby food. And now, if you go online on YouTube, you'll find so-called organic baby food sold in stored names that you recognize that had heavy metals in them. It's just unbelievable, the stuff that's found in baby food, let alone regular food.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Just recently, well, because I work with Zen moms across America, and she's so much on top of the glyphosate. Now they say how they gonna get immunity, actually, which is a horrible thing. They're gonna get immunity that they might end up in every food, and we'll have no way to figure. It's just so bad that people are not realizing. There's so many people working so hard to restore, to bring a real food to the table, where there's so much corruption, so much going on. That's why it's so important to awaken the mothers, so the mothers will request and will say, no, we're no longer going to buy these Cheerios. We're no longer going to buy these potato chips. We're no longer going to buy this baby formula or these squeezy juices they give to the child. When you give the squeezy juice, what's inside? Oh, there's only puree of fruits. Listen, a real puree in a day is no longer good. So how is it possible this puree can sit in these pouches for sometimes for a couple months? That's not a real food. That's a garbage. And you give this to your child and accept a good, healthy child.
yeah, that's why they have to load it with sugar so it doesn't spoil. That's what people, and look, glyphosate originally, this is the pesticide, was patented as a very potent antibiotic. So if you've been exposed to glyphosates, it means you need at least 6 months to restore your microbiome. And you have to put the right bacteria in, because it's like anything else. Like we know, if you put the wrong tire on the wrong car, it's not going to fit because we can see it. But what we don't see is we're taking the wrong bacteria, putting them inside of our GI tract, and then trying to take care of a symptom without understanding you have to put the right bacteria in that were with us since we were created, okay? Since we evolved, whatever you want to believe. But that bacteria was present in every healthy civilization that existed, because they have a vested interest in keeping us healthy, because they like to thrive inside of our GI tract. It's very simple. It's a mutual benefit. And if you just throw any old bacteria in there, it creates a rift between this mutual benefit, and your body will eventually start to suffer. When you're under stress, like all of us are today, your body produces so many toxins, it will actually kill your cellular structure. If you put it in a petri dish, those chemicals that the body produces under stress, and you took live body cells and put them in there, it will kill it. So we have to understand that our mind is very powerful, our perception of reality. So what are we doing today? We're stressed, we're unhappy, we don't have a social structure, we're eating terrible food, and we're all chronically ill. We're taking multiple pills by the time we're 50 for every kind of symptom under the sun, and then we're thinking that the body is defective, it's not any good. I don't care if you put this kind of stuff even in your automobile would not even be able to go 200 yards, let alone 1 mile.
True, true.
I mean, it just use an analogy. It's like, if you have something in your kitchen that works with the electronics, if you don't have any electricity, it's not going to work. Or you put something wrong in that device, it's going to break. That's very simple to see, but we don't see what goes inside that we do that breaks, because our body is so magnificent. it can start repairing itself. But at a certain point, if it's getting assaulted from stress, from food, from air, from water, it's going to start breaking down. And then everybody says, oh, the body's defective. It's made that way. No, the body is brilliant. It's what we've done to the body because we don't understand as mothers what we need to do, what has been passed on from one generation to another generation in Eastern Europe, because I'm of Eastern European descent. My parents didn't even know half the diseases that existed in this country when they came here in the mid 1950s. They were shocked. What are all these diseases? We don't even know what it means.
True.
So that's what we have to get back to, ladies. Please do not take anything. Ask your doctor. They have names. If a drug is there to get rid of the symptom and causes a suppression of the immune system, it's not a good idea. You may get rid of the problem, but in the meantime, you're also damaging your immune system, which is a very dangerous thing to do in this day and age. Find out before you put a chemical on your body, inside your body, or inside your child's body or skin, find out what it really does. Sit there and force the doctor. Don't just read this insert. Force the doctor to explain to you. That's his job or her job. It's not, you say, I want it in simple terms. Does this cream or this drug you're giving me suppress my immune system? What happens if you suppress my immune system long enough? That's what you should be asking, because right now we are not reversing this problem. We are not making progress. All these people going to cancer conferences, to autoimmune conferences, there's so much data coming out and everybody thinks they have an answer, but we're not getting a mass amount of people better. And it's because it's all this noise. People are just trying to give you a very simple solution to complex problems.
Absolutely. And so the quality matters, especially when it comes to invisible bacteria. It's really quality matters. And that's why I really love to working with you, because I do see how people on a daily basis getting better just by using a simplified probiotics, either Superdaculus or Bifido or Bulgaricum. I also want to really mention that a combination of three, which is a trio, which is incredible, and we can cut and give to the baby. And it's very important to understand that when you take something that's really good for your body will just thank you. You're going to see a very good results. Mm-hmm. And another very important thing I always like to say, be patient. And really trust into your body, trust your innate wisdom. And the problem, we are rushing, and this thing that we are so used to have quickly, we're expecting quick results, but instead change your mind and say, yes, maybe I didn't see a quick fix in a day, but I see something getting better. I see that my child, let's say, like someone just came to me yesterday and she showed me her stomach. Look, she said, look, my stomach is no more bloated. It always was bloated after the meal. And it took like months and a half, okay? Taking daily, restoring the microbiome, working on the diet, understanding when is the good time, when is not good time to eat. But she saw a result. It didn't happen in a day, but now we are a step further. We are better. We're getting better. So that's the idea, is it's just give yourself time. Healing does not take in a day. It's all the lies are taking in a day, because it's just so quickly to cover up. What's the problem? Put some blankets over the dirty diaper or the poop in the sheet. Yep. No one gonna know anything. But in reality, the truth, it stands. It takes time. It takes realization. It takes love. It takes really truly believe in it. And when you believe, then the miracles also happening. And the small miracles, they're not going to happen quick, but they're happening. And now you're restoring the root. And then you see the children getting stronger, no longer itchiness. They no longer have the side effects. They don't have all this skin that is scabbing and all the poor children. It's like really breaks my heart to see that. But that's I'm so excited that we covered this important topic. Maybe we should just mention how often to take the probiotics when we're restoring the microbiome while the child having an eczema or skin issues.
Yeah.
You want
Well,
to?
it's important because, there's something called peristalsis. Peristalsis is the food or whatever substance moving through the 27 feet to get to the other end. And so, because it's a continual movement that you don't pay attention to, I tell people, look, it's better to take it more often during the day because you're working with the peristalsis as the food is moving through the body and nourishing it. And eventually, when it becomes waste, so you take it, if you can, but it's better to take it than not to take it. That's what I tell people. And it's very important to give the bifidobacteria at night because that's when it works the best because it quiets the liver. Because the poor liver, if you assault it all day, it's working all night trying to detoxify all the stuff that is not going out through the feces. So I'm sorry I'm using being graphic, but the
No, that,
feces was designed to get at the toxins. If the toxins are not getting out through the feces and you don't have adequate bifidobacteria in the large intestine, which the colon is part of the large intestine, then it all goes back to the liver. And that's why the child can't sleep or the adult can't sleep, because now the liver is overworked because it's got to get rid of these toxins. And it's usually doing it when you're sleeping. So if you want to have a good night's sleep or your child, give them the bifidobacteria, give them the superdophilus. We can even teach them how to give the Trenev Trio. All of our products are not toxic at any level. The only thing that can happen is that it can trigger a release of toxins and it's too much to get out of the body at one time. That's the only thing that can happen. Otherwise, in 45 years, we've never had anybody damaged and God forbid go to the urgent care or hospital or the doctor's office. That's what you need to look because bacteria are very dangerous to fool around with if you don't understand them because they're not some stupid entity that you can just manipulate and take to cure a symptom. It's a very dangerous thing what's being done and taught in probiotics. It's following no standard. And since I wrote two standards that were read into congressional record, nobody cares about the standard. Once the standard was published, everybody ignored it because it's bad for business. So and that's why I love working with Hava, we got to get the mothers across America. That's their number one job. If they really want to help the children that have been affected by vaccines or food or whatever, we need to get the right microbiome reestablished. Getting the wrong microbiome is only going to be putting a patch on a very big problem. We need to go back to basics because let me tell you, acidophilus has been in the health food industry for 100 years. 100 years. It's found in Russian literature, it's found in Eastern European literature, it's found in Asian literature. There's 10,000 articles published on the effectiveness and safety of Lactobacillus acidophilus. The problem is that since there's no committee checking what's in the product, somebody can put something on the label and not even have it there. Who's going to challenge them? So it's very important to know who is putting that organism in the product that you're buying and paying good money for. If you don't know how long these companies been in business, what's their expertise, and dealing with people at universities, I can tell you, universities are great for laboratory study, but nobody at the university knows how to scale up, make a product for commercial use to make sure that the right bacteria gets into the person. This is one thing that we need to be teaching people, that just because they read research doesn't mean that the product is going to contain that research, even if they tell you that, because who is looking? It's not the FDA. It's not the State Food and Drug. No one's looking at it.
Well, there is a meaning to it. That's why they're doing that. But it's very important. So I want to go over the basics. So
Sure.
number one, more probiotics is better. You can start superdophilus at bifidonate. If it's a baby under 3 years old, then I would suggest Lifestart Pro and superdophilus. You can
Yeah.
keep times or 4 times a day. Listen, 3 or even 4 times a day. You can
Yeah.
mix in the warm water. If the child doesn't like to take in the warm water, you mix it in a little bit yogurt. You cannot mix it in a little bit yogurt, then I don't know what else. In a
I
soup,
tell even mothers, mash up a little bit of banana,
banana.
put a quarter teaspoon in a banana and give it to them with a banana, or give it to them in any kind of a applesauce. Hopefully organic applesauce is good. Anything that'll get it down their mouth.
Let's make
And
sure to stay away from orange juice and orange acidic drinks. That's
yes,
what I
yes.
say.
Actually, orange juice is one of the worst things you can give to your child because it raises the blood sugar level very quickly. And we don't have that kind of, 50 years ago, orange juice was a staple in the American diet. And, right now we're too compromised to be able to take even a small glass of orange juice.
Right. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, next thing that I would say, work and so that's very important because many people take probiotic only once a day, and in some cases, especially child who's suffering from eczema, you have to
Mhm.
as many times as possible. 4 times is incredible. If child took any sort of a medications prior, then you need to understand will take longer to restore microbiome, so it will take time to rebuild. So give it time. Okay, the next thing that I would suggest is what I wanted to say. Oh,
And everybody's different. So remember that some child will take less time, others will take longer because all of us are individual and we have to become good hosts for these bacteria. Otherwise, they don't stay with us.
okay, another thing, very important, when you're working with probiotics, if your probiotics come on a stable shelf, that's not a good probiotic. If it comes
No.
in gummies, it's not a good probiotic. If it's delivered to you in a regular package, it's not good. It's dead. Many times people tell me, "Oh, I have the best probiotic," and I ask them, "From where did you get it?" And then it's just regular on the shelf. So it's stable probiotics. Yeah, this is the best stable probiotic. I'm like, in reality, the stable probiotics, like basically dead probiotics. So you have a dead bacteria there, and then now you trying to take a dead bacteria. It doesn't matter if it's fermented, non-fermented. I don't care. Cut the noise, ladies, whoever you are with us. Cut the noise. Listen. Use common sense. You have a live bacteria, and then you take this live bacteria and then you basically destroy it, and then you make them stabilized, and then you buy it, pay say 60, 70, $80, whatever you pay for the product. Then you swallow, it goes in. You think that suddenly the bacteria will say, "Oh, now we arrived to the destination. Now it's time to be awakened." You think they're gonna awake? That doesn't make
No.
sense
Well,
to me.
it's not only that, this whole business of these multiple strains, you've been fed a terrible lie, because these are just microorganisms put in there, and they're all antagonistic to each other, most of them. Nobody is checking to see if anything is alive because people are getting away with making ridiculous statements. So please just trust me. If I could make multiple strain probiotics because I thought they were good for you, why wouldn't I make it? Why would I refuse to make it? It's not that I don't know how to grow these bacteria. That's the furthest thing from my mind. So this has got to stop. This nonsense about multiple strains, forget it. The bacteria have to be compatible, and their normal position is they have what we call mutual antagonism, because each one of them is directed by the creator to multiply its own kind. So they have to have the kind of recognition by you to know that they've evolved with you and want to live inside of you, and you can't give them competition if you want them to do good work for you. That's most important to remember.
Right. Very
Because-
important. So hopefully you learned a lot. And someone has asked, can it make a stool hard? Can a probiotic make a stool hard?
Well, the probiotic doesn't make the stool hard. It's because you have yeast issues. And if you're taking the wrong probiotic, it can make it hard because it's slowing down the peristalsis. Remember the movement, or you're not drinking enough water.
Right.
And that's what makes the stool hard. Or your GI tract is so imbalanced that it's not moving the food fast enough, and you don't have enough activity to actually get the stomach to move the stuff through the intestines to come out in the rightful manner. And actually, too many children have constipation, severe constipation. and we can help them with that. We can help them get rid of it. And I just can tell you that all the children who have type 2 diabetes have fungal overgrowth. I can sign in a document that says this, we're missing the whole problem. They've had this problem because of the consumption of simple sugars and simple carbs in the diet they were introduced to, and the unhealthy lifestyle of their both parents on both sides, maybe going back to 2 or 3 generations.
Absolutely. This is actually a very important point because whenever sometimes parents will come and say that, but the baby just born, and I usually say, well, that's not the baby made from someone. He took something unique from the mom, took something unique from the dad, and now when you have this in combinations, all this together, you have the baby, and now the baby carries the same weakness that your ancestors been carrying, and usually this is how you can see it, and then it's causing stagnation, and that's why the child suddenly suffering from some sort of issues. But also I wanted to say all the problems that we see are the blessings. So instead of covering them up, you actually need to be you really should really say thank you to God for giving you those symptoms so now we can treat them. Otherwise, the silence is the problem. And what everyone is very upset is why it cannot be in silence. What do you mean? Like, we don't want to be the sickness developing in silence. We want the sickness be on the surface so we can see it, we can treat it. And that's why I would say the hardest problem is in emotionals, when there's also emotions involved, and emotions are really create so much damage in the intestinal tract that sometimes we think that, but I'm giving my child the healthiest diet and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, but you don't see that your child maybe is also stressed internally. You don't see it, you don't see it like outside, but there is a through the life child goes something inside his heart, it's stuck in there, causing emotional imbalance. Emotional imbalance can cause, as Natasha said, all these issues. So it's very important. All comes in combination. So that's why it's restoring the whole entire. That's why the beauty of natural is we go over the whole entire body and not just picking up, here and there the pieces. We have a few more questions. Okay, which probiotic is good for a sensitive gut?
Well, but it depends where the gut is sensitive. It's like I said, the Superdophilus has been on the market for 45 years. And I haven't found anybody that has a reaction to it.
Superdophilus is 100.
Yeah.
100 years market.
Yeah. So I would say you start with that, and then we have to slowly introduce the bifidobacteria because it needs to be able to get through a cleared up small intestine into the large intestine. That's why sometimes it causes a problem because it's difficult for it to get to the large intestine. And I'm going to keep this very simple. So that's what you do. So how do you get rid of fungal overgrowth? Again, it's the Superdophilus and the Bulgaricum. And then we get into the bifido. Once we clean up the small intestine, then we can start targeting the large intestine. And most doctors don't understand this. They just think you can give bifido, where bifido don't like to live in the small intestine. Why? Because it has oxygen. Bifido do not like to live in any environment that has oxygen. So they have to get down to the large intestine or the end of the small intestine. And you have to understand that bacteria will not perform for us because we want them to perform. They only do what's in their best interest. We have to understand this. You can't make a marketing plan and tell people something that's absolutely not true. So this is the problem, that people are making marketing claims that has nothing to do with knowledge or use for the last several decades in how to deal with the body. This is absolutely not true, and we have to change our entire understanding if we're going to get rid of these chronic illnesses. We are making the same mistake. And just saying, what other thing? You have to stop feeding the child the simple sugars. And the reason the child has this, penchant for eating simple sugars is because the fungus is creating chemicals that it's inducing us to want more sweets. People, we need to really have a whole show on this to understand how these microorganisms can target us to do what they want. And it's really fascinating how we are really a hybrid of these microbes and the human cells. And if we don't understand this hybridization and how we have to keep in mutually beneficial contact, I think is the reason we have an explosion in this country of disease, because we've completely lost touch with our body. We think it's defective. We have to pump it full of chemicals. We have to tell it to shut up, stop sending us messages that it's having problems. And it's caused a huge problem in our country. We are paying for everybody's medication, and we are the largest user of medication of any population in the world. I want people to remember this one thing. We are only 4.5% of the world's population, yet we consume 76% of the prescribed drugs in the world. Okay? Is it because that we're liking drugs here? No. We are being poisoned. We're being poisoned, and we're taking more poison to take care of the poison. We're not getting back to basics. We're not understanding how our body functions, and we will not get away from this chronic illness unless we change our thinking.
Absolutely. I agree with you so much. And so I'm going to just go over how do we get rid of the fungal overgrowth. And what I just want to make sure that the people understand, you're going to take the superdopolis and then you're going to take bulgaricum. You can take them in combination quickly.
And not only that, you have to stop all consumption of simple sugars.
Absolutely. But it's very important to mention the bifido, that you really have to get to bifido very gently. Because in this specific case, when there is a fungal overgrowth, that actually bifido can react in a very harsh way, not in a bad way, but like not it's like you might just see the symptoms that are not so comfortable for you, because
Yeah.
comes to the surface, it's like you're removing all garbage. And I can say that I do have a couple of clients who've been taking supradopolis and sleeping very well, and as soon they start taking bifido, they're like they feel like too hyper, or their heart is racing. That just shows there is a fungal overgrowth, which is normal, and you just have to know how to work with it. So that's the case that you first restore in the basic, I call it reseeding, right? Like you always taught me, it's called reseeding good bacteria, reseeding the field with the proper bacteria, and then you work more in
Yeah, and don't forget, that's where you get the constipation, because the fungus is slowing down the peristalsis. And that's why sometimes when you take bifido before you take the lactobacilli, it creates more constipation because it's slowing everything down.
right.
And that's another technical explanation. So what we say is that, you're getting information that's taken me 6 decades to acquire. 6. I've dealt with the most famous people in the world. I've heard every diet. I've seen every reversal on opinions that it's come down. And it's very important. That's why I do these things, because it's very important for the mothers. And I repeat, for the mothers to know this information and to be able to pass it on to the next generation, because we will not eliminate the illness unless we all dig down and get familiar with this basic information.
Absolutely. Okay.
So,
Amazing. I think we had a very successful meeting, and thank you so much everyone who brought questions, and I really love, we feel like a family now. I love it. You should bring more questions and the next time. And I will post the topic a day prior, so that way you can call your friends, call your relatives, let them join also. This information, it's just available to all of you. We just have to really push it further, let other people to listen, and to these two experienced ladies who have been in this field for many years, and it's really teaching you the basics of healing, not really cutting all the noise and bringing the simplicity, so that way you will understand without any doctorate degrees and stuff. You don't need all those stuff. It's always been passed from mom to a daughter, and once you understand that, it will be so simple. Your children will understand that's the whole behind what we do.
See, there's one saying, bifidonate. Yeah, no, take that in the evening. It's best to take bifidonate in the evening and superdophilus in the morning and during feeding times. But always bifidobacteria best to take at night.
Yeah.
That's what I found, from 6 decades of being in this industry. That's the best thing to do. And you have to sort of meet the criteria of the bacteria if you want them to work for you. They're not going to work for you because you want them to work. And that's why I'm very careful of what I give you. I want to make it simple because all these products that add all these microorganisms, remember, the reason they do that is because once they just list names of microorganisms on the label, they make thousands of private labels, and that's all they are. They're private labels with different names. They're giving you research that you have no idea how to validate, whether it's true or not, how much of each bacteria they have in the product. It's never disclosed. They just give you a total count of bacteria. It is the worst thing I have ever seen in our industry, and we need to get rid of it because people don't understand fermented foods. They don't understand probiotics. It's all a mixed up, how shall I say, information meant just to sell you product, not to educate you.
Exactly.
And I want to appeal to the mothers and even to the fathers who are the caretakers. We please get involved. We need to get this information out. We have a sick nation. We need to start thinking about this.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone who joined us, and looking forward for our next episode. So, thank you again, and all the best, everyone.
Thank you.
Blessings.